And it was funny because we have gone from like being like cannabis is a, gateway drug to now it's pretty much like essential to society in certain states now. Like we absolutely need it. But you know what? That's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. Except I think it's kind of weird that they're allowing liquor stores to stay open, but not wreck pot shops. Like, I want to be able to pick my own poison. But,
yeah, agreed. I know that is weird.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Different Leaf, the podcast. I'm your host, Britt Smith, coming to you again from the home studio. And I'm going into week 3 of isolation. Most people in Massachusetts are in week 2 or 3. And this week we're going to be talking about how the shutdown of almost everything is slowing down newly licensed cannabis companies. And we're also going to be talking about how isolation is impacting veterans and other people with PTSD. So if you flip through issue 2 of Different Leaf magazine, the one with all the candy on front, you'll see today's guest on page 24, Philip Smith. He's one half of the couple behind Freshly Baked, an edible company based in Taunton that makes infused gummies. Philip and his wife Jenny Roseman founded Freshly Baked in 2018, and they got a provisional license to operate from the Cannabis Control Commission at the start of March this year, right as the coronavirus was changing pretty much everything. But Philip and Jenny are both veterans. Philip's a Marine who served in Iraq, and Jenny is a former Air Force medic and 9/11 first responder. So, a little pandemic is not about to slow them down. So I checked in with Philip this week about how the progress continues despite quarantine, and how they both, as veterans with PTSD, are dealing with life in isolation. All right, we are recording. How's it going?
Pretty good. Just trying to stay sane in this quarantine right now.
Yeah, how many days in are you?
Jenny and I started a little earlier than what they said, actually, because, we already have anxiety about a lot of things anyways. So it's been a few weeks now. We really haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I have terrible, terrible anxiety, and my husband is in the same boat and suffers from PTSD. So it was about 16 days ago now that I came home from work. I work at a news radio station, and I'd been writing about it since like January, and I started reading about it being a little more prevalent in Massachusetts, and I was like, okay, babe, it's time to hunker down.
Yeah, the same here. I don't know if you've read much about, Jenny and I, but we also suffer from PTSD. So, it's anxiety is something that we deal with on a normal basis, and this just kind of heightens it. But I think like the general public that doesn't kind of understand anxiety and PTSD, I think they're getting a little taste of it right now, and it's not good, right? It doesn't feel good.
Right. Yeah. So how are you guys doing with the uptick in stressful situations?
Well, we have our bud, so that helped, right?
Right. So I read up on what you guys do, and you said that gummies are really helpful for you.
Yeah. At night, especially going to sleep, we make our own gummies ourselves here at home for ourselves, and obviously the business is going to be focused around that at first, but at night they definitely help for sleeping, and during the day we both definitely use cannabis to help ourselves.
So let's talk about your company. So you guys were featured in the second edition of the Different Leaf magazine. And I was flicking through and I came across your story. And of course, the veteran chefs caught my eye, being a wife of a veteran myself. Mm-hmm. And I was reading up on a little bit about your history. So you guys were founded in 2018. And you are a social equity program applicant for the Cannabis Control Commission, right?
I am. I was in the first cohort, actually the inaugural session that we had with the social equity program. I think there was maybe 18 to 20 of us in that session. And it was great. I was very excited about the program. Going in, I wasn't sure what it was going to be like. There's a lot of lip service going around too. So, and it's kind of focused around the government. So I was like, well, let's see what's going to happen. But you know what? I was really impressed. It hasn't been perfect because they're a startup too. Again, the CCC, and they're moving things along, probably at the same pace we all are. It's not easy, but they actually did want to help. I felt like they did want to help us. They did offer the help, and the programs that they had for us, all the classes have been great. And then the exclusive licenses, right, with delivery and social consumption with the moratorium. I thought that was fantastic. So I've been happy.
Oh, good. I'm really glad to hear that it was a good process for you. And then you guys got your provisional license quite recently. So what did it take, about just over a year for you guys to go from application to provisional license?
Yeah, and in a year before that, really, like on the municipal side, and putting the application together. From when we got on the list, it was almost a year till we got the provisional license. Yeah, but it was a great day. It was very exciting, but you know what? It was nervous too, because you put in so much work, and you're pretty much going to get it when you go in there. But in your head, when you're in there, Jenny and I were like, "Is this like really happening?"
Yeah.
Honestly, like, is this really going to happen? Is someone going to come out and say, "Surprise, this is a big joke"? But
Right.
it was unbelievable to hear Commissioner Hoffman say the name of the company. It was nice.
That's awesome. I guess you guys, you've got like 90 days, but that would put you guys opening business in what, June, July?
So we're shooting for pretty much July. Yeah, that's what we're shooting for. So
And how does the pandemic impact that now?
well, you know what? The world hasn't really stopped. No one's outside, but everyone's still kind of working from home pretty much. So like even the government offices, so the city hall, we tried to go there the other day to put in our building permits, and it was closed to the public. So everything has been, mailed in or done online. Right now, construction hasn't been halted. So hopefully our building permit gets approved here within the next, week or so. And, we're going to look to start construction ASAP.
Wow, so really nothing slows down because of the pandemic?
No, I don't think we can slow down, and also, as your husband can attest to, I'm a Marine.
Yeah.
And, not too many things are going to slow us down. There might be, things in our way, but we're either going to go around them, over them, or we're just going to go through them. So until construction is halted, we're going to keep moving forward. We're registering I just got my agent registration approved. Other folks that are going to be joining our team, we're working on that, insurance, the build out, everything is still moving forward.
Wow, that is awesome to hear. And yeah, that is definitely Marine Corps values right there. I recognize that.
Semper Fi.
Tell me a little bit about how you guys found that gummies were working for you for your PTSD, because I think there's a lot of listeners out there right now. They're dealing with the anxiety you were talking about, some people dealing with PTSD. And like you said, this is a really anxiety producing time. But you and your wife, Jenny, you're both veterans, and you found that gummies worked for you specifically. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got there?
Sure. Just a little bit about our background. I am a Marine Corps veteran. I served in the Iraq War. I was in the initial invasion in 2003. Jenny's actually a 9/11 first responder at the Pentagon with the Air Force medic. Any conspiracy theories you've heard about that are false, because she was actually there. So Jenny and I met in around 2018, and we both kind of clicked on, how the VA was not treating us, but how they were, the medications, right? So, with PTSD, there's, anyone who goes to the VA knows that, you can go through a cocktail of medications to find something that works for you. And some of them do. Like, a lot of those medications do work for a lot of veterans, but a lot of vets, they don't work for. And it's something that Jenny and I bonded on, because the side effects can be very, very bad. So cannabis is something that I've been using throughout the years, but I never really embraced it, because the VA, they kind of, tell you like, that's, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to tell us about that. This is what you should be doing. But I felt like cannabis was helping me through the years. And Jenny was the same way. She had started using it, shortly before we met, and it was something that was helping her. We started talking about like sleeping at night and how we could work on something. And so we both said, why don't we try to make, some type of edible. Edibles were kind of coming into the market more. We were like, maybe we can make something at home for ourselves. So we did. We started making a gummy that really helped us. It helped us sleep. And, we had a neighbor that was having some trouble, and we actually just gave her some, was like, here. And she was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I can finally sleep. So, once we started embracing cannabis and what it was actually doing for us, and kind of listening to our hearts and kind of our actions, we kind of realized that like, this is something that actually is helping us. Like, I am sleeping at night. I don't have side effects in the morning. I'm not waking up groggy. During the day, gummies, depending on, what strain they are, can make you sleepy, but they can give you energy too, right? Sometimes, depending on the strain, but for as far as like cannabis and smoking. Like we both do that as well, and that helps us get through the day. And just not just our anxiety, but our well-being, our state of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I read in the article in Different Leaf magazine that you had some trouble also sort of getting back into civilian life, which I think a lot of veterans find that same issue.
Yeah.
Did you find that it was easy to navigate your way through, finding that cannabis helped you early on in your life as a civilian?
I think so. My first experience with cannabis was probably senior year in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was more just on the recreation side with friends, smoking here and there. It wasn't until I came home from the Marine Corps and I was struggling, and I didn't smoke or in just any cannabis when I came home. It was years before I went to cannabis because they were just telling me it was a stigma on it, right? They were telling you like, that doesn't help. It's bad. You shouldn't be doing that. And, I was a mess for a long time. I've had my good years and I've had my bad years. Recently, they've been more good years, I think, because I've embraced cannabis and everything that it actually was doing for me. But coming home, it was tough. And for a lot of folks coming home, I think they go through the same thing. But, you don't want to be looked at as someone that's going to a drug, even though the VA is giving you drugs. You don't want to be stigmatized like that. You want to be strong, right? I don't need that. It was a while when I came home before I even dealt with like my PTSD. I remember breaking down on the bathroom floor at one point after the war. And it was like a click too, like it just snapped, and like I was like, I'm not okay. And like I said, it wasn't years until I actually started embracing cannabis that I could see myself like getting better, like getting back to who I almost was before the war. And right now I feel like I'm at a good place.
That's good, especially to have that tool while you're going through a time like this. I think that's really important. There's a lot of people out there that really almost like, it's not a dependency, but I think they're turning to it, especially as we're all sitting at home, worrying about what the future might hold. To have that as an available tool to us here in Massachusetts, I think it's helping a lot of people right now. And
I do have my medical marijuana card. And you mentioned on your podcast the other day too with your husband with the price differences, which is unbelievable, by the way. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But the medical marijuana card, having that helps take away like that stigma. Like it's okay. Like if this is something that's helping you, like it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I found the same thing. When I was living in California, I had a medical card because he was stationed in Southern California at Camp Pendleton.
Yep.
And when he first got out, he was very concerned about getting a medical card because of what the VA might say.
Right.
He was worried that he might lose benefits, or it was like 2013. So it was still kind of early days with the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a medical card for myself. I'd had gallbladder surgery, and there were reasons for myself, but I also just wanted to get it for him, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
He was just sort of not comfortable going to get a medical card. So there was initially even stigma around the medical thing. But I think as we moved up to San Francisco, he got more comfortable with the idea that people, especially up in Northern California, were much more open about talking about like, yeah, I use it recreationally, but it also helps my anxiety and it helps my sleep. And there's a lot of people that say that they use it recreationally, but it's doing medical things for them. So there's this thin line right now. And I think that there's so many people out there that were just relying on going to the rec stores. And now those rec stores are closed, and only people who could get medical cards now have access to legal cannabis. So there's a lot of people that are shut out right now. I mean, all I can say is I guess the black market's probably thriving,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I totally agree. The access right now. I'm not a big fan, though I feel like they need to do something. I'm not a big fan of the rec dispensaries being closed right now. I think, issuing some social distancing rules would help, because that does shut down access to folks that don't have medical cards right now.
So we were talking a little bit on the last show as well about the possibility of delivery during this time. And I was just reading that you're sort of thinking about entering the delivery space, or you are actually, right, with the Eagle Eyes Transport. Can you tell me a little bit about that project? You were trying to launch this before the pandemic even really broke out in the US. So this is great timing.
Yeah, I've been focused on being the first operator in the delivery space for a while. Anyone that understands the industry, understands the black market, knows that accessibility, price, and